It's been a long pre-match press conference ahead of the final Classico of the season, with many questions about the victory against Manchester City. Real Madrid is leading La Liga by 8 points over Barcelona. This is a crucial match, but not decisive yet in steering towards the league title.
How is Real Madrid now before El Clasico and after the great effort in Manchester?
The team is recovering well. Some players need an extra day of rest. Mendy has not trained today and needs one more day. The rest will be in the squad. We haven't had any problems of any kind, so tomorrow we will try to field the best possible team, and that's it. As I said, Mendy was just very tired, so we decided he needed a bit more rest.
After the Champions League qualification against Manchester City, there has been unanimous respect and congratulations for Real Madrid. But there have also been criticisms for playing so defensively. Does this surprise you? What is your opinion?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all. Everyone can have their opinion. For us, the way we have to play is very clear. As I have said before, there are two aspects of football, offensive and defensive. So you have to handle it well when you have the ball, but you also have to manage the game when you don't. There will be games where you have less possession than usual. Either way, you have to play well for the full 90 minutes, and we have done that up to this moment. I haven't found any Real Madrid fan who is sad. Not yet. Maybe they will show it in the coming days. Real Madrid fans are happy because the team has shown up and much more than that. There is a saying in Spain that I have heard a lot and I like it. I will take the opportunity to say it here. Tell me about the sea, sailor.
There has been a recent interview with Casemiro where he confesses that you cried when he knew he was leaving Real Madrid. What did you feel at that time? Have you cried for any other player?
Nothing very special, really. When a player like Casemiro leaves, who has been a legend just like Marcelo and others, it's a very emotional moment. Not just for me, but also for all Madridistas.
Nacho had a good game and scored a penalty goal. A week ago in Valencia, you preferred Tchouaméni over Nacho, but when Nacho plays, he does well. Would you like Nacho to continue next season at Real Madrid?
That is his future, and he has to decide what he wants to do. Currently, he has done something important and had a fantastic game recently against Manchester City. It was the work of a very high-level defender. He has been, still is, and will continue to be a high-level center back.
In the moments before the penalty shootout, we saw your assistant and son, David, talking to Valverde and Militao. They didn't want to take penalties because Fede said he was very tired, and Militao said Ederson knew him very well. Lunin and Rodrigo were the penalty heroes. How important is it to refuse to shoot penalties, and how do you view that?
We have the discipline to ask the players how they feel about taking penalties, because it's an important moment, and the player has to feel ready and prepared at that moment. At that moment, everyone helped a lot, even Kepa. We had a lot of analysis reports, and we're well prepared for this. Luis Lopez has worked hard on this aspect, gathering as much information as possible about the opponent's penalty takers, and everything turned out well.
Militao has played some minutes, has been available, and training normally with his teammates. Do you think he could start tomorrow, so that he gets to have more game time for the match against Bayern?
Yes, he could start tomorrow. He is fine in training. He just needs to play. He is eager to start playing and is ready for it. In conclusion, he is an option for tomorrow's starting lineup.
Valverde is currently the player with the most minutes on the field this season. The other day, despite fatigue, you kept him on the field. What has Valverde done to be irreplaceable for you? What could he improve, or what does he lack?
It's very difficult to say what he could improve. His season has been one of continuity. He has always been good on the field and played very well, supporting his teammates because he is a team player. This has been decisive for me to always put him on the field, because being a team player, no matter where I put him, he always contributes. Whether as a winger or midfielder, he always works hard, sometimes providing assists or goals. These are the things that make him irreplaceable for me.
You have told us many times that you are not the father of any footballer. That's correct. You are just the coach. However, you are the father of Davide Ancelotti, whom we heard from for the first time after the match. He decided in the penalty shootout and influences training. Could you talk about Davide's role? Not as your son, but more as your assistant at the club and in training. Also about Francesco Mauri, who is also part of your technical staff. Do you think they will continue next season with you, or will they want to become independent?
The truth is that they contribute a lot as part of the technical staff. And they do it very well. The technical staff in general is very good with many young people, including physical trainers who are also young. Mino, for example, who is also part of my family. So these young people bring a lot of enthusiasm and even make me doubt many times. They are always generating doubts about what I have to decide. They relate well to the players very seriously and professionally. They always look for ways to improve and innovate with new working methods. At my age, I lack a bit of enthusiasm, so having people on the technical staff who bring enthusiasm is very, very important, and they do their job very well. Also, a healthy and clean environment allows you to show the best of yourself, of those who work with you, as well as the players. A healthy environment is very important because this environment should not only be among the players, but also between the players and the technical staff. I also have to include the medical staff and the kit men, who are also very important. The atmosphere at Real Madrid is very healthy. The fact that Real Madrid has achieved a lot of success is not a coincidence.
During the season, you have told us that the first team to reach 80 points would be closer to winning the league. If Real Madrid wins tomorrow, they would have 81 points. How close would you be to winning La Liga?
Thank you very much for your question, which is the first question about tomorrow's match. I really appreciate it. Yes, we are very close if we can win. But we have to consider that we are going to play against a competitive opponent who has been doing very well in the last few games. We are sure it will be a classic, as it always is, an evenly matched and fought match. It's a great opportunity for us to get closer to winning the league. However, we are aware of the difficulties we will have because Barcelona is a very active team.
What do you think about a club like Barcelona having two teenagers who are important like Cubarsí and Lamine Yamal? Is this a weakness or a strength?
Why a weakness?
because of the message that they are young players taking charge of the team, when there are experienced players like Gundogan or Lewandowski?
Well, I think it's similar to what happens with us. The connection between veterans and young players is very important. Veterans contribute knowledge and personality, while young players bring enthusiasm. Speaking of Kubarsi and Yamal, they have been a surprise to everyone and are doing very well. They are still very young and will have a successful future.
Against Manchester City, we saw a system with 5 players in the defensive line. Will we see this system again tomorrow at the Bernabeu, or perhaps for the game against Bayern Munich? Or was it just an exception against Manchester City?
Yeah, it's a system we don't rule out using. Obviously, it's a system we didn't use from the start of the match. But when there were 5 or 6 minutes left and we had to hold on to the result, then you can bring in 5 defenders, or 6, or 7. We don't rule anything out. We could even bring in 2 goalkeepers on the field. Although we can't bring in a bus.
Luka Modric has been used to being an undisputed starter all his life. This season, he has started 18 games and been a substitute in 19. Do you think Modric will accept the role of impact player from the bench for next season?
From what I know of Luka, he will never accept being an impact player because he never stops working. He doesn't hold back in training, and he always gives his maximum effort. He still has the same quality I saw in him 10 years ago, exactly the same will and enthusiasm. So I believe he will never accept being an impact player from the bench.
We have talked many times about the difficulties the team has faced with injuries and absences in certain positions. Regardless of what happens for the rest of the season, would this be the season you are most proud of your team?
As I've said, so far we are doing very well. The cake is already prepared. We just have to try to put the cherry on top this month. This month is always decisive. We have entered this month very well positioned in the tournaments. We have recovered Militao, and Courtois will return soon. He will be ready soon. We only need Alava, so we are in good shape. But it's just a matter of putting the cherry on the cake this month.
We have some incredible numbers about Ferland Mendy's performance. No player has dribbled past him since March 6th until today. This is out of the ordinary. You once said you think he's the best defensive fullback in the world, yet he's not the most publicized or valued player. Is he indispensable to the balance of your team? If he doesn't stay at the club next season, would it be a loss for the club?
First of all, Mendy has a contract with us that has not yet ended. He is very important to us. He doesn't care about the spotlight. He's interested in contributing, and he's doing it fantastically. I've already said it, he's the best fullback defender in the world for us. Not just for me, but also his teammates think the same. The same happens in training. It's not easy to dribble past him.
In the 2 years you have been coaching Rudiger, how many penalties have you seen him practice in training? What were your thoughts when Rudiger was about to take the penalty?
We only trained penalties on Monday before traveling to Manchester. He took 3 penalties and scored all 3. I had never seen Rudiger take a penalty before. But as I said before, at these moments, the technical aspect is secondary. The most important aspect is the emotional one. I mean, if a player is motivated and has the necessary calmness to take it, then he will. That's why it's important to talk to the players before penalties. And they have to be honest in their response. Honestly, sometimes you have difficulty finding 5 players to take penalties. The other day, we had more than 5 players who wanted to take them. Finally, we chose those who emotionally we felt were more convinced to do it.
You have said that Nacho will decide his future. If Nacho has any doubts about it, how would you try to convince him to stay?
As I have said many times, to Tati, we can only do one thing with our players, and that is to respect their decision. They know perfectly well what we think, and they have complete freedom to decide what they want.
In Rodrigo's last 3 games, he has scored 4 goals. He is a player who has played almost every game this season. You always say that players need continuity to find their place in the team. For Rodrigo, goals are important for continuity, and it seems he always scores at decisive moments. How do you see his performance right now?
He is playing very well right now. Certainly he has had very difficult moments during this season. Because for a forward who doesn't score goals, it's more complicated to handle things. But he has always worked hard, and now he has started scoring again, and that's very important for us. At this point in the season, he is very motivated, very excited. However, he will rest until 9 p.m. tomorrow.
When we asked you the other day if the victory against City was the most hard-fought, and you said it was against Chelsea a few years ago. The night of the victory against Manchester City, where would you place it in your ranking as the most difficult?
It was a very important night, but it was more difficult than hard-fought, really. It was very, very difficult. If we compare difficulty versus suffering, I think it was more suffering against Chelsea because we were close to being eliminated almost at the end of the match. While during the 2 games against Manchester City, we were below on the scoreboard for very few minutes. We were above on the scoreboard and classified for most of the time. This explains a little why we set up a defensive block formation, since most of the time we were ahead on the scoreboard. In conclusion, it was more difficult against City, but more suffering against Chelsea.
You are known worldwide for your excellent management of player groups. Regarding the psychological aspect, what is the key to putting aside the euphoria of the Champions League qualification and focusing on the Classico match?
Well, the strength of a team is the strength of a working group, and players who put the team's success before their personal ego. It's as simple as that. For example, the match the other day may leave some doubts, but on the other hand, seeing such collective commitment is very rare to see in a top team like ours. Thank you.